There are many legends that surround school bathrooms, but one legend that stands out is the apparition of the girl from the bathroom. This story is not only terrifying, but it's also based on a true event that happened during World War II in Japan. During this time, air raids were common in Japan, and Tokyo was no exception. One day an air raid warning sounded in the middle of the school day. The students immediately ran to the nearest bomb shelter, which just so happened to be the third-floor girls' bathroom. There were 5 stalls in the bathroom, and the students ran into each stall and hid while the bombing began. We now find ourselves in a dark and suspenseful Japanese school hallway. The lights flicker overhead as the camera slowly moves down the hall. It stops outside the door to the third-floor girls' bathroom. She's wearing a red skirt and has bowl-cut hair. We hear explosions in the background as she cowers in fear. She looks up just as a bomb explodes outside the bathroom, shaking the entire building. She hides her face in her hands and continues to cry as the bathroom fills with dust. We see a close-up of a hand knocking 3 times. Then everything goes black. We can hear water running inside the bathroom as the door slowly begins to creak open by itself. In Japanese folklore, Hanako-san is the ghost of a schoolgirl who haunts the third-floor girls' bathroom. According to legend, if you knock 3 times on the third stall door and ask Hanako-san to come out, she will grant you a wish. He conducted all sorts of experiments on her, including turning her into a zombie. After he was done with her, he threw her body in the bathroom where her spirit became trapped. However, if you ask her the wrong question, she may just kill you. Even though she couldn't see Hanako-san, she knew that she was there and she was afraid. During World War II, thousands of Japanese civilians were killed in air raids. Many of them died suddenly and unexpectedly, and their bodies were never recovered. It is possible that the author of this story was inspired by the sudden and tragic death of a loved one. Perhaps she wanted to explore the idea of what happens to the spirits of those who die violently. This is a very effective way to build suspense, because it allows the reader or viewer to imagine what Hanako-san might look like. Since the story doesn't give us a concrete image of her, we are free to use our imaginations. And that is often scarier than anything a writer could come up with. So let's get started. Whatever the case may be, it's clear that Hanako-san is not a friendly ghost. The main character is clearly struggling to cope with the death of her friends and classmates. She feels guilty that she survived when they didn't, and she's angry that they were taken away from her. Hanako-san represents all of the things that she has lost, and she is drawn to the bathroom because it is the place where they died. In some versions, Hanako-san was a normal schoolgirl who died a horrible death in the bathroom. What exactly is Hanako-san and why does she want revenge? Will the main character ever find out what happened to her friends? And what will she do when she finds out? These are all questions that stay with the reader long after the story is over. In other versions, Hanako-san was a yokai, which is a type of supernatural monster in Japanese folklore. If you're watching this video, then I'm sure that you have. Let me know about your experience in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Some believe that she was even an experimental test subject that was killed in a chemical accident. Yes, I'm here. The camera creeps closer to the stall door, and we can see a slight movement behind the curtain. Although we never saw her, we could tell that she was there because of the way that the room reacted whenever she got closer. For example, the door opened by itself, the classroom shook violently, and the stalls creaked loudly. Some say that she was bullied by her classmates, and she took her own life in the bathroom. Others claim that she was murdered by a jealous lover. But perhaps the most gruesome tale is the one that involves a mad scientist. As the voice continues to speak, the door begins to open slowly, revealing an empty toilet. In 1945, Japan was still at war with the Allies. When she made it back to her classroom, she noticed that the window was shattered and debris was strewn across the floor. First, we see the flickering lights. Then we see a hand reaching from under the stall to grab someone's leg. Next, we see the silhouette of Hanako-san standing in front of the mirror. Finally, we see her reach out with both hands as if trying to grab something. She looks up just as she hears some whispers in the background. She quickly runs out of the stall and turns on the light to find that she is not alone in the bathroom. Standing in the corner of the bathroom is a translucent figure with long flowing hair. The girl screams and runs out of the bathroom as the ghost approaches the stall that she was just in. She turns around to investigate, but doesn't see anyone. She walks into the stall and turns off the light, plunging the bathroom into darkness. It looked like a bomb had gone off inside the classroom, but no bomb had been dropped on the school. Nobody knew what had happened to the classroom or the students. One student remembered hearing a loud noise followed by a moment of silence. Then she heard some coughing and crying. To make matters worse, nobody could account for the whereabouts of any of their classmates. Some people said they simply vanished, while others claimed that they were taken away by the military. No one knows for sure. Suddenly, the stall next to her began to shake violently, and she peeked over the top of the partition to find out what had happened. All she saw was a pair of legs sticking out from under the door with one foot slightly overlapping the other. She called out to the girl in the stall, but there was no reply. Then the girl in the stall began to sob uncontrollably, and the sound of her crying seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere all at once. And then everything went silent again. The girl remained in the bathroom for the rest of the air raid. And when she finally emerged from the stall, she noticed that the classroom was empty. The next day, the students returned to school to find that the building had been completely destroyed. Fast forward to the present day. Inside the bathroom, the third stall door is closed, and we can hear a soft female voice echo through the room. As the voice gets louder, we begin to see flashes of a young schoolgirl hiding in a bathroom stall during an air raid. We quickly transition back to the present day where a student is staring at the mirror. As she's washing her hands, she hears the whispers again. As she runs down the hallway, we see a series of fast cuts. The scene fades to black as we hear a loud knock on a bathroom stall door. So, who exactly is Hanako-san? There are several stories about Hanako-san, but the details of her story vary depending on who you ask. Regardless of how she died, most stories agree that her spirit is now trapped in the bathroom and she is looking for revenge. This version of the story claims that Hanako-san was an unsuspecting victim who was kidnapped by a mad scientist and brought to his secret laboratory in the school. If this version is true, then it would explain why she appears as a translucent figure in some stories. In the first story that I told you about, Hanako-san did not appear as a full-fledged ghost, but rather as a voice that was heard throughout the bathroom. In addition to that, the main character felt a strong sense of dread whenever she was near. One reason why this story is so terrifying is because it's based on a true event. Another reason why this story is so scary is because it deals with themes of loss and grief. The ending of the story is particularly haunting because it leaves us with more questions than answers. Now I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever seen a ghost?